So it's been a while since I posted my last recommendation. Primarily because the markets were in a selling mode and it was not an attractive proposition to buy at this point of time. But at this point, I see the markets recovering slowly. Though there has not been a marked downfall in Sensex and Nifty, but we saw a steep correction in most of the mid caps and small caps. Um, which was required because the valuations were running too high. Um, we did not see much of positive indicators from the earnings growth per se, and therefore there was no reason as to why these mid cap and small cap stocks would keep rising the way it did the last year, right? So the correction which we saw in most of the mid caps and small caps is much required, much wanted, and is a healthy signal for the markets to go ahead in the coming weeks. I am more or less positive at this point from a market perspective, primarily because the FII buying has now started. Last week we saw that the FII is bought at about 1,300 close, and the domestic institutional investors continued buying for the 9th or 10th consecutive weeks as they have been doing. So much of the cushioning to the market is because there is huge amount of liquidity now in the market, and therefore the Sensex did not fall to the extent to which we would have liked it to be. Most of the large caps have been pretty resilient in this kind of market. So at this point, if you have to make a lot of money, I don't think large cap would be the space to go. More or less, large cap is the space for safe investors, those who are pretty much happy with 15-20% kind of a safe kind of a return zone. At this point, I maintain my calls on specific stocks. I had earlier recommended Marico, Godrej Consumer, Gateway Hospitals, and so on, all of which have done well, even though the market did not do well in the last couple of weeks. We saw Marico at close to about 345. The recommendation point was about 315. Of course, it was for a short-term range. I had recommended buying Marico at about 310 to 315 and then selling it about 320 to 325 kind of a level. So even for a long-term kind of an investor or a medium-term kind of an investor, I'm sure that these people would have made some money if these recommendations were to be taken into cognizance. For this week, I would maintain a buy call on Grasim at about 1020 to 1025 for a short-term target of 1060 to 1070. Of course, this has been a large cap kind of a stock, but Grasim has seen a considerable amount of fall from 1150 to 1030. So this is quite an attractive point to buy at this point. The other stock which I would maintain a buy is Gateway Distripacks. Gateway Distripacks is a logistics major, has seen a very steep correction, and also to about 170 to 175 levels, and the current levels are pretty attractive for investments from a media point. So anywhere closer to 170 to 175 would be a good buy point. It's not for a short-term trader, it's more for a medium-term investor. Anybody who would like to make about 20-25% returns over a period of a year or 2 years can invest in this kind of a stock. There are also other attractive stocks available in this market, specifically from a small cap and mid cap point of view. But at this point, I would maintain a cautious stance this week per se. Let's see if the FII buying continues for this week, and then we can go aggressive on small and mid caps. So at this point, recommendation continues on these two. Gateway Hospitals has been one of my long-term favorite picks. The hospital stock has been one of the cheapest stocks available in this segment. Apollo Hospitals is priced at close to 50 to 55 times PE, and this has been almost half as expensive as Apollo. So Kovai Hospitals for the long-term kind of an investor is one of my favorite picks at this point of time. And looking at the bullishness of the hospital space, this has been one of the best investment picks from a medium-term range. Thank you.